Hey, Westside Christian Church, Pastor Doug here. If I could just add to this past Sunday's message about because of His mercy, that God's mercy for us is why He offers us the grace way of salvation, I probably would go to the nature or the character of God. And so I think actually the word we're looking at is character. Nature would be, what He is. Character is, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, all the omni words, all those big theological terms. And character is who He is, His heart, His mind, His soul, that He's loving, gracious, merciful, compassionate, etc., etc. So, and there was a point in the message where I thought about trying to do this, trying to say, okay, here's the hierarchy of God's qualities, of God's character. These are the major ones, these are the minor ones, these ones stem from these other ones. Theologians have been doing that for centuries, I believe, that they have, thought that they could map or they could chart who God is, the way God is. And the way that it typically works, the way that they most often do it is they say love, and then grace and mercy. So love would be the top, that would be the tip of the pyramid, the apex. And then underneath that you have the second level, which would be grace and mercy, or mercy and grace equal to each other. I have been presented with that. I have seen diagrams like that. I have accepted it. There's reasons to accept it. We have that classic statement in 1 John 4, God is love. I don't know that there's any other, you get like God is a jealous God, things like that, but I don't know that we have any other statement that just in those three words says God is X, Y, Z. So you can understand why theologians then would have said God is love, therefore love is the top quality of God, and everything extends from that. There's even just an idea that all other qualities extend from God. If you've ever looked at the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. I've seen people say all of the other 8 are merely expressions of the first. Everything else is just a type of love. Patience is love waiting. Kindness is love being nice. Gentleness is love not being harsh. Something like that. So there's been this trend in theology, if you will, if you like that term, in the study of God, the pursuit of God. There's been this trend to say, okay, He's got some qualities that are at the top and other qualities that extend from that. Love is at the top, grace and mercy are underneath those. And then underneath that, you would have compassion, kindness, gentleness. Those would all be expressions of mercy and grace, which are expressions of love. I've been shown that, I've been taught that. I think that way in my daily prayer. I thank God for the gifts that He has given us. And I always go love, grace and mercy. So you can even see that I'm working through that list in that sequential order. Couple problems with that though. And if I would have had more time, this is what I would have liked to discuss. You do have love there at the top, but I don't think that's the only thing that's at the top. I do think you have justice that would be at the top as well, because it is justice that requires the Romans 3 propitiation, the sacrifice, the atonement for sin, Jesus offering Himself on the cross in our place. So you've got justice, which I would say is just as big as love, that they would still be on that top tier. You've got holiness, which we typically think of as sinlessness or purity, but really is just otherness, just different from the rest, set apart. I would think that would probably be on the top tier as well. So these are the thoughts that I'm going through as I'm working on this. I did think about saying, it starts with love and there's grace and mercy. I even had a graphic made for that, and I just never used it because I began to become more and more uncertain of it, because I realized there are other qualities at the top. And I don't know, you could think of justice and love competing. Some people do, of them clashing or contradicting, which results in the grace way of salvation. I'm not sure that they do. I just think they're kind of different. So you've got love, you've got justice, you've got holiness. I do think maybe grace, mercy are subsets of those. I would think that compassion, kindness, gentleness would be a third level. And yet, if you look at the way that Paul presents it in Titus, he says that mercy is spurred by kindness. I said in the sermon that I thought that mercy is driven by compassion or pity or sympathy, because if you're withholding consequence for any other reason, then it's not entirely mercy, So then you're getting complicated. Well, which came first? Did love come first, or did compassion come first? Is mercy in the middle? It began to get confusing, and here's why I think it gets confusing. It's because God's not two-dimensional. All these problems come from our desire to take a two-dimensional piece of paper, to just open up our notebook. Okay, I'm going to chart God flatly right here. It's going to be a flow chart, and X goes to Y goes to Z. That's our desire. I share that desire. I am a cataloger. I am a classifier and organizer by nature. So I understand why guys in the past wanted to do this. I want to do this as well. I want a flow chart of God that says love to grace to mercy to kindness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't think that's possible. Here's where we ultimately come out. It's not possible, because that would make us in some way superior to the Lord. It would mean that we have completely understood God. I don't think that's possible to do. I don't even think it's desirable. Do you want a God that you fully understand? Isn't there something wrong about that? Here's the inherent flaw in that endeavor, in that way of thinking. We are making an assumption about God here. We're assuming that he is two dimensions. You wouldn't try to chart him on a two-dimensional plane unless you thought he was a two-dimensional person. So we don't even realize that. We just make that assumption. We just operate under that idea and don't consider it much. If you go back and think about it, though, it's clearly incorrect. Clearly, he's not two-dimensional. I think he's three-dimensional at least. And so he's never going to be able to be put into a two-dimensional flow chart, because you can't put three dimensions into two-dimensional things. Something will always go wrong somewhere. I think the better way to think about it, and you've heard me do this before, is to imagine him like a jewel or a gem. And I always do like this. This means, I imagine a big diamond in my hand, right? A cut diamond that comes to a point at the bottom, and it's got, what do they call it? I've watched gem cutters. I know what they call it, but a canopy or something like that, crown maybe at the top. Imagine a big diamond like that, and you can turn it, and as you turn it, there's light gleaming off different points at different times. You're seeing different features as you go around. And you could start at this cut right here, and you can say, okay, this point connects to this point, also connects to this point, also connects to this point. But if I could go backwards, it also connects up here and connects up here and connects up here. Really, you could think about it as connecting somewhere all the way around on the back end. So it becomes a whole lot more complex when you think about it as three dimensions, and a whole lot deeper, a whole lot more beautiful as well. That is a far closer analogy. And of course, all analogies eventually become flawed. You don't want to push them too far, but certainly that is better than a two-dimensional piece of paper. A chart's never going to work because it's only two dimensions. God is at least three dimensions, maybe 4, 5, 6, who knows? There's a lot of dimension there. There's a lot of depth there. You're never going to be able to chart it on a piece of paper. I think the best thing to do then is simply embrace that idea, which is what I did in the message. I abandoned that idea of, hey, I'm going to show them that, hey, it starts with love, it goes to grace and mercy, which are kind of equal, and then blah, 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 blah. Instead, I just said, you know what? I can't explain it. I can't diagram it. I can't organize it. I can't catalog it. I can't classify it the way that I like to. It just is, and I'm just going to go with it. And that's what I did. And as hard as that may be for the analytical, the left brains among us, I just think that's where we are with God. I don't think you can fully comprehend him. I definitely don't think you can fully diagram him. We know these truths, that love is a big part of who he is, but that justice is also a big part of who he is, that holiness is a part of what he is, mercy, kindness, patience, perseverance, et cetera, et cetera. We know that they're there. We're never going to be able to fully diagram them. There's mysteries that we'll never completely understand or plumb, but that just makes life fun. I had a lot of fun exploring mercy, this idea that I had kind of discarded years ago. I had a whole lot of fun last week rediscovering that. I imagine for the next 30, 40 years of my life, I'm going to have a whole lot more fun investigating God, discovering new things about him. And then when I enter into eternity and see him face to face, going to be a whole lot more things to discover there as well. So let's be happy with the little bit of knowledge we have, let's not go beyond what is written, try to make charts, diagrams, et cetera, et cetera. They're all bound to be flawed. Let's simply say, hey, it's a mystery, we don't understand it, but it is a reality. Our God is loving, merciful, kind, compassionate, etc. Thanks be to him. That's what I would have added if I could have, and so now I've shared it with you. Thank you for spending time with me, and I hope to see you again real soon.